In the Jewish world, leprosy is not just a disease, it is also a symbol of isolation. It's a symbol of being an outcast, so to say. But when you have leprosy, you are isolated from the community. You should be isolated from the community. You're not supposed to be part of the community because you are unclean. Leprosy was a sign of one that is profane and unclean. And so if you mingle with other people in the community, you might just make them unclean as well. So it's better you put yourself outside the village, or people will put you outside the village, because that is where you belong. And when this man that we hear about in the gospel hears about Jesus and sees him, immediately falls at his feet and says, "Lord, if you will make me clean." So this man is asking for restoration. He wants to be reintegrated into the community because he has been in isolation. And when Jesus heals him, he tells him, "Go and show yourself to the priests and to the people." In other words, Jesus is saying, you are now reintegrated. Go back into the community. Let people see what God has done in your life. You do not belong out there anymore. Don't put yourself at the borders of the village or of the town anymore. Go into the city and show yourself to the priest. Not only that, give an offering in the temple as a sign of your thanksgiving to God for the grace that He has shown you today. So, in the life of this person, Jesus comes as a restorer, a liberator. Jesus comes to bring this person back into a place where he belongs. He has been out there for a long time, but Jesus' presence is to restore him, is to bring him back into the place, the space where he belongs, where he needs to be. In our communities today, in our society today, we do have people that are considered as lepers, people that the community has pushed outside the community, people that are considered as unclean. I remember when we were growing up, our parents used to say, "Do not play with that one, because akakufulunganya emisango, akakuambusha emisango ya vipa. Don't go to that house. Do not play with that one. That one is a bad boy. Do not play with that one. That one is a bad girl." So that person in that house has been labeled bad, and nobody is supposed to associate themselves with him or her. Even now, we do have people that are considered in that manner, that they should not mingle with anybody in the community. They shouldn't even come to church, actually, because they are going to confuse everybody. They belong out there. But they too belong to Jesus. The same way that this leper belongs to Jesus and Jesus shows him grace, those people in our own community today, in our society today, that society has condemned, also belong to Jesus. They also need restoration. They also need reintegration. Those of us that are on the other end, those of us that think are better than them, are we open enough to receive them so that they are reintegrated in our life, in our community, in our society, in our families? Or do we still want to kick them out as lepers, as profane people, as bad people, as dirty people, people that don't deserve to be part of any community? I think Jesus is giving us a challenge today to change our attitude, especially towards those that have been condemned as public sinners, those whose sin is written everywhere. Jesus is challenging us today to change our attitude towards them, because of course the fact that their sin is written everywhere does not mean that our own sin is smaller, or is a better sin, if there is a better sin, or that we are better than them, since our own sin is not known by anyone. Far from it. They could be condemned by society, but we are just as bad ourselves. So it is important for us to have an open community, an open society, where everybody, regardless of how weak they are, can feel welcomed and feel forgiven. Sometimes people fail to come even to church because they feel more judged at church than anywhere else. So they would rather go to a bar where everybody, no one talks about the sin that they commit. No one says, oh, you want to pishamkazi, hey, you want to, you know, and they feel nice because they feel they're at home. When they come to church, everybody's looking at them with an eye that tells them, this one also, how can you do something like that? So they feel the church becomes, or the Christian community becomes, a place of judgment and not a place of forgiveness. Lepers could not mingle with other people in the community because they were constantly judged. Others in the community could point fingers at them and say, you have sinned, and therefore God is punishing you. God has given you this leprosy because you are a sinner. As if they themselves were better. And we have this attitude even in our own times, even within our own families. We are talking of the church, even within our own families, where we come from. We do have these judgmental attitudes. You are a bad boy. You are a bad girl. Why can't you be like your brothers? Why can't you be like your sisters? You're always doing this, you're always doing that. We are always talking about the wrong things that they are doing. And so they feel safer being out there than being part of the community, than being part of the family. Jesus is challenging us today to have this open attitude where when people approach us, when people are in our presence, they feel safer, regardless of how sinful they are. They feel safer, they feel more welcomed, they feel, yes, this is where I belong, because we are open to them. Jesus gives grace to the grace of healing to this leper and reintegrates him back into the community. We can also participate in this work of reintegration, restoration, liberation, so that in our society today, nobody feels estranged. Nobody feels they belong out there. We are all sinners. The only difference is some people's sins are written everywhere. Then other people's sins are not written anywhere. But doesn't make anybody better. We are all just as bad as everybody else. Therefore, let us have an open society where people can feel, yes, this is where they belong, regardless of the cracks that they have in their lives. Amen.